Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you a real local SEO audit, and this is the exact local SEO audit process I go through with every client. In short, I'll show you exactly how to find every opportunity and issue for any local SEO campaign you're currently working on. And the good news is that you don't need to be an SEO guru to understand what I'm going to show you. In fact, all you need are some helpful tools, some shifts in your thinking, and a willingness to learn. So with that said, hit the like button to show me you're excited to learn about local SEO, and let's dive right in. All right, guys, so I'm going to walk you through this SEO audit process, and I'm just going to tell you right now, what you're seeing on my screen here, this is just for my general note-taking purposes. I do have an SEO audit template and also a doc where I actually explain the action items that I find in the SEO audit. But when I do this initial part, I just want to gather as much information as I can about this particular website and project. So I've broken this audit down into a few different areas, and this will vary depending on what type of business it is, but in this case this is a local business, so the only real difference here is just going to be the addition of Google My Business. And actually, I'd probably add one other thing here, which would be just citations and reviews. And you can copy this, but for me, I've been doing this for such a long time that this is just like ingrained in my head, so I can just kind of put it here. But it's important that we're going to go through each of these phases. So I'm literally going to walk you through each of these, and I'm going to identify all of the issues that this website currently has and also all of the opportunities. And if you're selling SEO services, one really important thing when you're talking to prospects, focus more on the opportunities. Don't focus so much on the issues and the problems and all the negative parts about their SEO campaign. In reality, we want to present them with the opportunities that they have as opposed to the issues, because no one likes hearing that your website's a bunch of garbage, so we're going to need to fix everything. Like, no one wants to hear that. So they would much rather hear, okay, we have these opportunities. We need to go after these opportunities to make sure that your website is the best that it can possibly be, and so that we can drive real SEO results. So just shifting your language a little bit is really huge. So let's walk through this. And one thing I like to do is try to get as much intel as possible from the client. So when you're doing these audits, for example, this client used to be Mr. Texas. He has some training program called the Carb Coding Diet, and he has some people who work with him who have a lot of authority, so we could leverage that in our link acquisition and even with optimizing the site for your money, your life, and eat as well. But it's important that at the onset you get as much intel as you can in the beginning, because then you're not just working from a blank canvas. You kind of have something to work with here. So now, of course, you don't need all of this, but it just certainly helps. So let's go ahead and start with keywords, because really every SEO campaign is built around keywords. So what we want to do is start to just kind of look at the keywords and look at the competitive landscape that we're going to be dealing with. So the first thing I like to do is simply just take the client's URL and see if they have any existing keywords that we can go after. So I'm already here in SEMrush, and I want to just basically see, are there any opportunities that we can leverage that already exist? What are they already doing well for? So when we look at this, it looks like, they don't have very much organic traffic, which isn't a big deal on the local level. But we still want to see, if there are opportunities that exist, because in a lot of cases, if they're already doing well and they haven't done SEO, then that's really exciting, because it means that Google probably already trusts their website. And it also means that their website doesn't have a whole lot of baggage that you have to work with. So I personally prefer to work with websites that haven't typically done SEO in the past, because then I have just a really clean slate to go after and do this the right way. So let's go ahead and look at what they have going here and see if it's anything of value. So we'll look through these keywords, and it looks like they're doing pretty well for body transformation, which is pretty interesting. We probably have to verify that on the national level, considering that their site isn't very strong. But looking through here, it looks like there's going to be some, and actually this transformation page looks like it's doing really well, actually. So But the thing is with this, you have to always look at it from the lens that the client is looking through. So in this case, ranking for body transformation, while that might be valuable on the national level, it's probably not incredibly valuable on the local level, because this client is bringing people into his gym and actually training them. So he needs to really focus on these local keywords like Dallas. So actually one thing we can do is we can actually just go up here in the search and just narrow this down to Dallas only, and just eliminate some of those national keywords that, probably aren't super important at this point. Now, however, national keywords are very effective if we're trying to build out linkable assets, but we'll talk about that later. So what I would do is I'd actually just go ahead and export all of these ideas. So I took those keywords from SEMrush and put them into a Google sheet here, where we're going to be collecting all the data on this particular client. And like I said, I do have a template that you can use, so you don't have to do it from scratch like I'm doing, but I just wanted to show you kind of this process from scratch. But you can just use the template, and I'll have it below this video so you can use it. But anyway, what we want to do is just collect their existing keywords. So that's kind of the first step. And then from there, we want to look at the keywords that are extremely valuable to them. So in this case, personal trainer Dallas is a really big one. So we're going to go ahead and copy this, and we're actually going to go into ahrefs. Okay, so now we're in ahrefs, and what I did is I went to the Keyword Explorer and pasted this in here. And what we want to do is we basically want to see, who we're up against, and try to just get a general idea of how competitive this keyword's actually going to be. So in this case, ahrefs is saying that it has a KD of 3, and they're saying that we're going to need about 4 websites to rank in the top 10. This is just a recommendation. This is not a law. So, you can use your best judgment here. And it's certainly, I've seen in my experience that when you do follow what is given here, it tends to work pretty well. But of course, there are a lot of variables. So in this case, we just kind of want to look at the competitors. And when I'm looking at this on the local level, I basically just don't even pay attention to Thumbtack and Yelp or any of those directory-based websites. I want to pay attention to the actual businesses that are operating in that location. So this one, fitnesstrainer.com, I'm assuming is not an actual Dallas-based company. So yeah, this is just a directory type of company. So that doesn't really apply in that situation. But when we look through this, it's pretty crazy because the first 6 results are all directory-based sites. So in most cases, especially relatively recently, Google's been putting a lot of weight on companies actually being in the location. That doesn't just obviously apply for the local pack, but it applies in the organic results as well. So if you have a hyper relevant business in that location and you do the SEO really well, you can actually perform super well. So in this case, we want to look at the first one here, who is Elevate Fitness Now. So we'll go ahead and look at what we're working with here. So now we just want to see how strong this website actually is to see, what we're up against. And in this case, I can already tell this website is not very strong. They have a DR of, below 5. So it's not going to be super hard to beat this particular competitor because they just don't have a robust link profile. And not only that, they only have about 6 pages on their entire website. So it's not a really well-developed website. Just not even looking at it, just from a pure technical perspective, I know that they can be beat. But we'll go ahead and look at what backlinks they have, and more than likely their backlinks are not anything super impressive. So we'll sort this by DR, and then we'll actually sort this by do follow as well. And basically what I'm looking for here is I just want to see if they have any super high authority links that would be difficult to acquire. And in this case, they don't really have any. They have, it looks like, an interview from Voyage Dallas, which is very relevant. That's a very good link, hyper relevant on the geo-targeted level. So we would want to also try to probably get an interview with this particular website that's focused in Dallas. So that would certainly be something we'd want to do. So I would put this into our link prospecting data. So basically we wanted to start just take note of these, these opportunities here. And what I am going to do is go step by step through each of these competitors and actually extract link opportunities from them. So here's another one. Doesn't look like it's from a very strong website. It only has a DR of 7, but we'll go ahead and take a look and see what it's like. And it looks like this is probably, this looks like kind of like a PBN link. So this is definitely not something we're going to want to get, nor will we even be able to get it because this is clearly just built just for link acquisition. So this is something we'll just go ahead and avoid. Okay, so now we're looking at Fit 180. And one thing that's important is make sure that this is set to domain with all its subdomains, because often you'll just see the links for the actual URL. But we want to see the links for the entire domain. We want to see how strong the entire domain is. So it's a DR17, which means it's not super strong. It's not incredibly weak either. Definitely something that can be beat. So we'll go ahead and look at the quality of the links hitting this particular website. And once again, we'll go to do follow, and then we're going to sort it by DR. And basically what I'm looking for is high authority links that they have acquired. And it also makes us, think about it from the perspective that we're also going to have to acquire strong links if that's what they have. So one thing we'll want to do is do one link per domain, because in this situation, it looked like they had multiple links from the same website. So it looks like they have a link from this website, which is a DR87. So it looks like Fit 180 is a client of theirs or something. So they've basically leveraged their site's authority to link to their client, which is not going to be a link we're going to be able to get, but we can find opportunities that have similar DR just to compete on that level. So once again, go through these opportunities here and see if there's anything where we can either get the same exact link, or just take note in your head that, we're going to have to acquire some really high authority links, which really is almost always the case. And that's really the best strategy anyway. So, and then one thing I like to look at is the anchor text and see if they're doing anything unique. And it looks like their anchor text is very, very under optimized, which is a good sign for them. It means they're doing SEO the right way. They're not being too aggressive with their strategy. So it also indicates that we can't be too aggressive with our strategy either as far as anchor text. We need to focus on these branded anchors as opposed to trying to build out a bunch of keyword-rich anchors. Now they do have down here personal trainer Dallas, but it's on such a small scale that it's not going to have a huge negative impact. In fact, it probably is having a positive impact for them. This is a good sign because it means that basically we can rank without having to do anything really risky. And in some, industries, you have to be aggressive to even compete. So this is exciting to see this. It's not an aggressive industry. All right, so now we're going to look at this competitor as well. Once again, not a super strong website, only has a DR of 5, 37 referring domains, can easily be beat. And let's go ahead and look at this link profile, and I can immediately tell that they're using private blog networks for links. So we'll go ahead and just show you real quickly what this looks like. This is actually a public network. So you'll be able to just see, all these various websites that are getting links from this public network. And by the way, as a side note, if you ever wanted to try to find niche site ideas, you can actually just go to one of these public networks and then just find and look at the websites that they're linking out to. And a lot of the time, it's actually a really effective way to find niche site ideas. So you could do probiotics for toenail fungus if that's, your thing. But there's a lot of opportunities here for niche websites. And I often will go through these public networks that I find in my audits, and I'll just take note of what I'm finding. And then eventually I may go after enter those particular markets. I don't always. In fact, I don't do it 99% of the time, but it's a weird way to find niche site ideas, but it actually is really effective. So in this case, this particular competitor is just using classic black hat SEO, and it seems to actually be working, which is the shocking part. But I know for a fact that this will not work long term. And the reason is simple, because when we look at the anchor text, it's extremely over optimized, and there's just a high probability that this particular website will get penalized. It's only a matter of time. So this is not what we want to be doing. And actually the other competitor who they are up against is doing things the right way, while this particular competitor is not doing things the correct way. They're doing it in a very aggressive way, when in fact they don't actually need to be this aggressive. And this is just an old school way of doing SEO, and it can work, obviously, because they are ranking in the top 10 for their primary keyword phrase, but it's really not. In fact, it's not a good long-term approach at all. So this is not what you want to be doing. So we'll go ahead and look at this last competitor. Once again, pretty weak domain, only 17 referring domains. We'll go ahead and look at the backlinks. Actually, it looks like they have a link from texas.gov. So that's pretty intense. That's a really good link. Not sure how they even acquired that link. So let's go ahead and see how they actually got it. So it looks like you can get a link from texas.gov if you're hiring veterans, for example. So this is a really, really good opportunity, obviously. And there are many companies that have links from this page. So this is an extremely valuable link. So we would just need to figure out an angle to be able to get a link on this page. So definitely want to add this one to the link prospecting sheet over here. This particular website is definitely getting most of their ranking power, and I don't think they're in the top 10. I think it's like so they're number 11. But I'm telling you right now, a link of this nature is enough to really push you up high from texas.gov, which is, first of all, .gov out of the gate is already an extremely valuable TLD, but then also being a texas.gov, which is hyper relevant to where this business serves and what market it serves. So like I said, we can do this all day, but at a certain point, you know that the amount of links that you're going to need to acquire to compete. So that's basically what we're just trying to do, is see, what it's going to take to actually win for this particular keyword, which seems to be their most important. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is actually a domain comparison. And this isn't a really good thing, just so you can show the client so they can see what they need to do to actually compete. So just go to more and then click on domain comparison. So the real value of this is, first of all, just to benchmark where we are currently, and to see what it's going to take to actually rank. And as you can tell here, the client's website has no domain rating at all, which means it's definitely important for us to develop a really strong link building campaign, because this will hold them back from performing. So right away, this is showing a weakness that needs to be overcome, but it also shows that the websites that he's competing against are not super strong. And that's exciting for me when I see this, because it means that I'm not going to have to acquire as many high authority links as I would in a different market, maybe like personal injury. So which means that can actually reduce costs a lot more. Basically increases our likelihood that we're going to be able to perform well, and it's putting us in a position to succeed. So this is exciting. And usually what I'll do is I'll just take like a screenshot of this, just so we can show the client to see what they're up against. And it's just good because, SEO can be a really confusing thing, but if we can turn it into terms that are understandable to everyone, it makes everyone's life a lot easier. So in this case, you can clearly demonstrate the number difference here. You don't even really need to know a whole lot about how domain rating works, or even how important it is. We can just say, this is just the overall strength of your website from an SEO perspective. And when we compare it against your competitors, clearly, you're behind. That's really all that you need to demonstrate to the client. We don't need to get overly technical with how we explain these things. They just need to be very simple and show them data, because data is the easiest thing for anyone to understand. You just look at data, you see the numbers, you see the discrepancy in the numbers, and then that some work needs to be done to improve those metrics. It's very simple when you do it that way. So next thing we want to do is actually just put the client's URL into ahrefs and see what we're working with on their website now. So we have a good idea of what we're going up against the competitors, pretty weak websites overall. And we know that we can pretty much dominate given we acquire better links than they do. But we want to go ahead and look at the client and make sure that it's a strong foundation, and we're not going to have to deal with anything weird like anchor text over optimization or low quality links. That's really important. So we'll go ahead and first look at the link profile itself and see if there's any issues that we're dealing with. Nothing too alarming here. Just these general links that pretty much every website gets. But nothing problematic at all. So that's a really good sign. And then lastly, we'll just look at anchor text. And it looks like the anchor text is just what you would expect from a website that hasn't done a whole lot of link building. So it's just kind of like random, and there's not a whole lot of branded anchor text up top. So one thing we would really want to focus on, at least initially, is to build a huge solid base of branded anchor text. So then that ahrefs.com and AFS Premier would be the top anchor text in this profile. So that would be the initial, initiative that we'd want to execute on. So then from here, what I want to do is actually want to do a content gap. So just click this, and then we're going to put all of his competitors in here and see if they're ranking for keywords that he is not. So now we're just going to run this and see what it comes up with. So we're just going to look through this and see if there's anything of value that the client would actually be able to go after. And, one thing might be Bootcamp Dallas. Now, I'm not entirely sure if the client offers a bootcamp. We can, of course, go to their site and see if they do. They have their body transformation program, but I'm not entirely sure if they offer a bootcamp. So that would require me to go and ask the client a little more about that. But in this case, we'll just assume that maybe they don't, and we can always adjust later. We'll go ahead and look at this and see if there's anything that's even worth going after. And it looks like the only thing that really stands out is just this bootcamp in Dallas. So everything else the client is probably already doing pretty well for, so we just need to optimize and amplify their efforts a lot more. So we have a pretty good grasp on the keywords that this client is going to go after, and we also have a pretty good grasp on the competitors that he's actually up against. So the thing is with these SEO audits, you can basically draw a lot of conclusions pretty quickly, and a lot of the time clients are looking for some elaborate explanation to improve their SEO performance. But in a lot of cases, especially one like this, because he hasn't done SEO, we just need to actually go through the process of doing SEO from A to Z. So that means building out a keyword database, optimizing the site, and building out new content assets and acquiring links. So in a case like this, we're not going to find a whole lot of issues because they just haven't attempted to do SEO, but basically what we want to do is we want to offer suggestions so that they can improve their SEO performance on their own if that's what they choose to do. So in this case, with my audits, I don't typically build out a keyword database. I just show the opportunities that exist. So in this case, the client was actually already ranking for a lot of their primary keyword phrases. Now they're not ranking on the first page, but they're still doing pretty well for a lot of their, keyword phrases, which is really amazing considering they haven't done a whole lot of SEO. So one thing I like to do is actually take this keyword and look at the actual search results. So we'll just go to google.com and let's go ahead and just search and see what this looks like. So, and I always do an incognito window because I just want to see just like the raw search results that are showing. So in this case, it looks like the local pack here does show up. So we know that we're going to have to rank in the local pack, and we're also going to have to rank organically as well. So the real trick to beating these directories is to rank in the local pack because they typically cannot. So this is extremely important for this client to get up here. So I would go ahead and take a few notes here. So one thing I like to do is I'll actually just take my calculator real quickly, and I'll just do 9 plus 13 and then plus 50, and then we'll go ahead and divide that by 3. So what I did is I just basically got an average of the reviews here, and we know that the top 3 websites have on average 24 reviews, and most of them are about 5 stars. So we're going to want to go and put some notes here under Google My Business, and we're going to put 24 reviews as the average. And then we're also going to want to put, averages 5 stars. So right away, we know that we're going to have to go out and acquire reviews for this client. So we'll actually see if the client is even showing up here. And pretty interesting that Fit 180 is kind of showing up everywhere. So they must have multiple locations. So that's an interesting thing. We'll want to see, though, if the client is showing up anywhere. And it doesn't look like they are. And one other thing I also like to look for, too, is, these top ranking sites, are they using the city in their title? So in this case, Fitness Trainer Dallas. So they are using a actual keyword in the title. And let's go ahead and look and see what this site is. And I'm actually really shocked that this website is ranking in the local pack, considering it's literally just a directory website. So this is a really bizarre situation, and I would expect that this probably will not continue to happen. So, and I'm sure whatever location they're using. So they don't actually have a physical location. So they're definitely doing some interesting stuff here in the local pack. But these other ones have physical location, and I'm assuming so does the client that we're working with. And actually, we'll go ahead and look for the client itself. So AFS Premier, we'll go ahead and search in the local pack and see if they're showing up. Actually, just go ahead and search here. And okay, so here they are, which is great. They already have 29 Google reviews. So they actually already have more Google reviews than the average site. So this is really exciting here. And we should be able to really improve this if we just improve the Google My Business listing a little bit more. And one thing I want to make sure is that they're actually located in Dallas, which is the primary location. So, but it looks like they're right in the center of Dallas, and it is actually legitimate. So this is really exciting. Like, I would get really excited if I saw this, because a lot of the time you'll get a client and they have no reviews, and sometimes they're not even in the primary location that they need to be in. So having a physical location in the actual target market is absolutely amazing. So just with a little refinement here, we can definitely push this listing up into the top 3 more than likely. So we'll go ahead and make a copy of this address. And the reason for that is because we basically want to be able to look at the citations. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then also for the client, we also want to recognize that they have 29 reviews. So 29, and then the average is about 5. So basically just to compare this against the competition. So one thing you'll notice right away is that they actually have physical fitness program in Dallas as their primary category. And so this is a part of the reason why they're not ranking in the local pack, because if they want to rank for personal trainer Dallas, they're going to have to make sure that that category is accurate. So we'll go ahead and I'll just show you real quickly what the original categories are for the people who are ranking. Yeah, so if we look at who's ranking for personal trainer Dallas, it's no secret that their categories are personal trainers. So if the client wants to rank for that particular keyword phrase, they're going to have to change their primary category. And that's ultimately going to be a business decision, because, what's more important? Is ranking for personal trainer more important, or is ranking for a fitness program more important? And in this case, when we look at the volume, it's probably better to rank for this, because ultimately this can probably lead to sales of the program as well. So, and this has the most volume, so this is probably the best thing to go after in this case. So let's go here and put GMB category mismatch. And one thing you'll notice about the way I do these audits, it's kind of erratic. It's just the way my mind works. Like, I have to work through it in my own unique way. I oftentimes will go, directly in logical order like this, but sometimes I see things and then I dive deep into the issue that I see. And so that kind of changes the process that I'm going through here. So don't feel like you need to be held down by a particular checklist or a particular template. Like, do go in whatever direction you want. Look for those opportunities. That's what it's all about when you're doing these audits. You're just looking for opportunities to make this client's website better so they can get better rankings and more traffic. So now I'm going to start to leverage some of the tools at my disposal to find even more opportunities. So one thing, since we're kind of on this local kick right now, we're going to go ahead and see how accurate these citations are for this client. So we'll just use Moz Local. This is not the one you have to use, but I typically will just use this just to get a general idea. So then very quickly, we can see that this client has a lot of missing citations. It's got a few incorrect citations. Nothing too alarming here. It's just the product of not doing a whole lot of citation building. So this is going to be a very easy fix to handle, and how we go about fixing citations will vary. We have some vendors that build citations for us, and then we also will use services like Bright Local to clean up citations as well. Honestly, there are so many tools and services at this point that you pretty much can't go wrong with any of them. So, but I'm going to go ahead and just export this as a PDF, and this will of course go into the client's SEO audit folder. Okay, so at this point, we're pretty good on keywords. We know basically what the client's going after. We know what the competitors are about. So we'll go ahead and just exit that out of that. Now let's go ahead and look at the actual speed of the website. And it's pretty funny when you're doing these audits, at least the way I do it. I don't even actually look at the website for a while. Like, there's so many things that I have to examine before I even get to the point of doing a manual analysis of the website, which involves me actually actually looking at how the website flows and looking at the user experience and looking at how the content's developed. Like, that part requires the most subjectivity, but you don't even get to that point before you do all this other technical work. So I'm actually going to take this client's URL, and then we're going to go to Google's page speed insights, and we're going to go ahead and see what we're working with, because really it should be a really important objective to get this site to be as fast as possible, because that's best for SEO performance and that's best for conversion rate optimization as well. So right away we see this. It's at about a 39 out of 100 score. So obviously a lot of opportunity here to fix this, at least on the mobile level. Now let's check the desktop. So it has an excellent desktop score, so that's great, 90. Probably just some slight changes to improve that a little bit, but mobile clearly is a thing that we're going to have to work with to improve that more. So I'll usually just take a screenshot of this just so the client can see, and this is actually going to go into my report. So you'll notice throughout this I've been taking screenshots. That's all for the completed report that I'm going to give the client, so I can actually show them these particular things, and that I'm not just making things up here. And then often I'll also do a GT metrics analysis too, so we'll go ahead and look at that. And the last one I would do is also actually a pingdom analysis as well, and I'll try to do one that's close to the primary location, but in this case I guess Washington DC is probably the closest. Okay, so GT metrics score, it looks like the site loads fast, but it has some other issues that need to be worked on. And so one thing is just it's not serving scaled images, which means that the image size is not what is actually showing on the site itself. So basically what has to happen is that image gets downsized, and as a result that creates some loading issues. So we want to fix that. Definitely not a huge issue, but we can definitely fix that pretty easily. So once again, I'll go ahead and just download the PDF. Okay, now we'll look at Pingdom, and it looks like they have a really nice score on Pingdom. The website loads super fast, and there's obviously some room for improvement, but overall, definitely a really good result. Yeah, so in this case, I would just definitely focus on the Google Page Speed Insights, the mobile loading, and then I would also focus on the GT metric score so we can improve that. So the really cool thing about improving site loading speed is that they give you so many recommendations that you really don't have to be an expert to identify the issues. Now, however, you will probably need a developer to fix some of these issues, but overall, pretty much anyone can identify these issues. So just going through and getting them fixed will require a little technical expertise. So now I'm just going to test the mobile friendliness of the website, and I can pretty much guarantee that it's mobile friendly just based on the other analysis that we did for the page loading speed, but we'll just go ahead and do it anyway just to make sure that it is. Okay, so Google's tool has confirmed that the website is mobile friendly, so that's great. So what I'll do is I actually go to the client's site on my phone, and I'll just search it in Google just to see. We'll do ahrefs Premier Fitness, and then we'll go to the website, and basically what I want to do is just make sure that this is mobile friendly. And so we'll click this, make sure that the menu is working. That's great, menu works. Look at the phone works. Doesn't look like they have call tracking set up, so we'll definitely want to set up call tracking so we can actually add that to our document here and say this could actually go in a different category, maybe under just CRO, and we'll put add call tracking. And this is important because then they'll be able to know where those calls are coming from. And let's continue looking through here. It looks like video's working, slides are working. Overall, really good mobile design. Very impressive. And then also they have their actual address here at the bottom. I don't know if there's schema markup, which we're going to be checking in a second here. But overall, definitely a good mobile site. So that's basically what we're looking at, just to scan the mobile site, make sure the design is sufficient. All right, so now we know that the site is mobile friendly and has a great mobile experience. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So we don't need to worry about that anymore. And so now we need to make sure the site is doing well on the security front. So really, when it comes to SEO, there's one big factor when it comes to security, and that's going to be the SSL certificate. So right away on the website, we can tell they have an SSL certificate installed. And so that doesn't seem to be an issue when we're looking at this on the surface. Now we're going to run this website through Screaming Frog SEO Spider, but for now it looks like it's okay. So now I'm going to take this domain and run it through SiteLiner because I want to see if there's any duplicate content spread across the website. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll see what we're working with. And at the same time, I'm going to run it through Copyscape as well. And so basically, the reason why you want to use both of these tools is because SiteLiner is going to give you content that's on the actual site. So it's going to tell you if there's duplicate content on the site level. Copyscape is going to show you if content has been duplicated on other websites. So basically, have other websites scraped your content or stolen your content. So we'll go ahead and run that too. Okay, so it looks like nothing to worry about here with Copyscape. Now we'll go to SiteLiner and let's see what we're working with. So it does claim there is some duplicate content. Now it's okay to have some here and there on the website, not a big deal, but we just don't want to have too much. So let's go ahead and see what it's pulling as duplicate content. It looks like this language has been used on multiple pages. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be anything too alarming here. It's just this, some information has been duplicated, but nothing too severe. Now, obviously, we'd want each page to have 100% unique content, but this isn't something I'd be, super concerned about, and it would definitely be low on the priority list. But I'd go ahead and just add this report, and actually we can just download a site report PDF. And then we'll just go ahead and add this to the SEO audit folder, so we just have an idea of, there is some presence of duplicate content, but it's not anything that's going to be high on the priority list. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to look at the site from Google's perspective. I want to see what's showing up in Google's index for this website, and you can get a good idea of what's going on just by doing this. But it's just going to give you a general idea of how their site is being indexed, and it may give you an indication if there are some pages indexed that probably shouldn't be indexed in the first place. It can also show you keyword cannibalization issues. There's a lot of intel that you can gather just by doing this simple search. So just do site : and then I actually go ahead and remove all of this, and then I make it so that I'm only looking at the root domain. So we'll go ahead and search that. And it looks like there are only 24 results here, and that's a good sign. That means that there isn't excessive index bloat or pages, in other words, pages indexed that shouldn't be indexed. Now, right away, within a couple seconds, I can see that there is some over-optimization going on. We have multiple pages that are optimized for Dallas Personal Trainer, which is something that we do not want to happen. So we actually will need to go through and fix these types of issues because we really only want one page targeting that primary phrase. Now, we'll talk about that later, but basically what we'll do is we'll uncover these issues when we run this site through Screaming Frog SEO Spider. But as we look through here, it looks like, there are multiple situations where the same keywords are being used on multiple pages. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna paste the client's URL in here. And so what we wanna do is we wanna connect the APIs so we get as much information as we can about this website. And so we have Google Analytics connected and we have ahrefs connected to the API. So basically what this is going to do is going to pull all the data from those two sources and attach it to each individual page on his website. So we'll go ahead and start. Okay, so the Screaming Frog SEO Spider crawl is officially done. So what I did is I just exported the results and I put it into a Google Sheet so I can analyze it. So once I've gone through and seen that there are basically no issues as far as indexability, I go ahead and just take that off the list. So then all I'm left with are the URLs that Google can actually crawl and put into the index. So from here, the first thing I almost always look for is going to be keyword cannibalization. So really the best way to do that is to just sort this by title. And then there are a few ways to find it. So first you can just obviously manually look and see what you come up with. But one thing that I'll do is I'll often just do a search here and we'll just type in Dallas and we'll look up personal like that. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to see if Dallas Personal Trainer or Dallas Personal Training is showing up on multiple pages. We can actually add something in here. We'll do filter by condition, and then we'll do text contains. And in this case, we'll just do Dallas. And then we'll be left with every page that has Dallas in the title tag. We have 2 pages here that have the exact same title tag, so that's just not gonna work. So we would either want to, maybe consolidate these pages or figure out a way to optimize them in a different way if consolidation isn't possible. So 10 pages that are competing against each other for the same phrase. So, we'd really want to figure out a way to handle this particular issue. And typically the way that I handle this is to under-optimize the pages that aren't as important or the pages that we're not necessarily trying to rank. So, and we want to be extremely clear with what page is targeting what keyword. So in this instance, if I was Google crawling the site, I wouldn't know, what page they prefer for Dallas Personal Training or Dallas Personal Trainer, because there are so many pages that are optimized for it. So the only thing Google can really do is look at the link profile and see which page likely has the most backlinks, because then that implies that that page is most authoritative and most trustworthy for that topic. But in this case, the client doesn't have a robust link profile. So what's going to end up happening is probably just not going to rank at all. So we have to really improve this and make sure that we're not having multiple pages targeting the same keyword phrases. So the next column I like to look at is the word count column. So we can go ahead and just sort this and see, what we're working with as far as word count. And some of these pages, you can expect them to have low word count, but what's important is to have rich content on the pages that matter the most from an SEO perspective. So in this case, obviously, the home page is going to be critical. So it looks like they have around 2,700 words, which is pretty substantial. So that's actually a really good foundation to build upon. And obviously, just having a high word count isn't how you're going to rank, but it's a good place to start, because then we can start to mold and morph that content in a way that is beneficial for search engines. And we actually are going to be using a tool later on in this process to give us recommendations about the best way to optimize this particular page based on how the industry itself or how that particular keyword is optimizing. And it's a very important point, because every single industry is different, every single keyword is different. So we have to always optimize based on the situation, not based on just a general standard. Now, of course, there are best practices that we do go after, but we have to adapt based on the situation. In some cases, some keywords require heavy optimization while others require very little. So we got to make sure that we're using the tools at our disposal to come to those conclusions, and we're not making decisions based on our opinion. That's never really a good strategy at all. So, but yeah, always look through here in word counts and see if there's anything that's alarming. A lot of pages with really low word counts, typically I'd mark those, but in this case, smaller website, probably not going to be too problematic. Now, next thing I like to look at is this crawl depth section, and what this means is just how many clicks does it take to get to these particular pages. In this case, it looks like the deepest page is only about 2 clicks deep, so that's not a problem at all. We want to stay about 3 clicks deep. That's probably the maximum we want to go, because otherwise it becomes more difficult for Google to actually crawl the site and then of course index those pages well. So we want to keep the amount of clicks to a minimum as possible. So 3 is typically my target, but of course it's going to depend on the site. So if it's a website with millions of pages, obviously the crawl depth will be a little bit deeper because that's a necessity. But we always want to try to push those pages further up into the architecture so that Google can crawl them often and of course index them more often. So, but in this case, everything looks good. Now, the last part I like to look at is actually the data that we integrated as far as Google Analytics and ahrefs. So in this case, I know that the client hasn't done a lot of SEO, so I would expect them not to have a lot of traffic and not to have a lot of backlinks because they just haven't invested in SEO yet. So these results here, obviously given the background that I know about this client, I'm not going to draw a bunch of crazy conclusions. I know they're probably not going to have a lot of traffic and they're not going to have a lot of links. But typically, if I was auditing a website that has already done SEO and they already have a lot of established traffic, then we would want to start looking at pages that A, have low traffic, and B, have low backlinks, and in particular pages that have no traffic, and no backlinks at all. And typically, we want to figure out why those pages don't have traffic and why they don't have links. Now, typically, a page won't have traffic because A, it's not optimized well for SEO, B, they're targeting a keyword that wasn't actually qualified, they shouldn't have been targeted in the first place, and C, the page itself doesn't actually have backlinks. So, and of course, there are many other factors that will determine that, but we look at a page like this, and we'll see, when is the best time of day to do cardio for weight loss. Now, that's probably a very competitive keyword based on my experience in this industry. And then we look at the actual page itself. There are a few issues. First of all, we have this image here that's kind of pushing everything below the fold, which then can hurt user experience. And then as a result, have users clicking off of this page, which then actually will hurt SEO performance. So you got to see how these things are kind of all tied together. And then we go down and we'll see that, it's a short article, and short isn't necessarily bad, but typically, we want to see these articles really well formatted and easy to read. In this one, there's only the type. This is the only title here, and then there are no other headings on this page. Definitely some room for improvement here, and it makes sense that this page probably isn't performing very well. So I'd go ahead and just mark this whole column here. It's just something to take a look at, and we want to start to help this client create better content and make sure that they're targeting keywords that their website can actually compete for in its current state. So then one other thing that kind of stands out to me is that doesn't look like there are a whole lot of linkable assets. And so one of the biggest things that we want to do when we're trying to promote a website, and we're trying to build links to a website, is we need to have some pages that are actually worth linking to. And so of course, it would be ideal if we could just drive all of the links to our most important pages, the pages that are going to drive the most leads and the most sales. But unfortunately, that's also the most unnatural way to get links. And so we want to actually drive links to pages that really deserve links. And so in this case, we're going to want to build out some informational assets that are more at the top of the funnel. And so this particular page, this is a good example of what we would do, but it's not quite how we would execute it. So that's one thing that we'll want to put on the recommendation sheet, is that we want to build out some linkable assets, and we'll actually find ideas for this client. I can actually show you how we go about doing that in a second. Okay, so at this point, we have a pretty good idea of what's going on with the site in general as far as technical performance and content. Now, we haven't actually done a manual analysis of the website where we actually go through and look at the pages and see if there's room for improvement. But right now, one of the best things we can do is actually just use my favorite on-page SEO tool, which is Surfer. So what you want to do is actually just take the most important keyword for the client. In this case, I'm going to do personal trainer Dallas. Now, of course, I would probably change this variation to be more of a natural phrase. So Dallas personal trainer is much more natural than personal trainer Dallas. Now, although that may be what people search, this is an easier way to optimize the page in a natural way. So I always like to, modify it to be natural language. So in this case, we'll go ahead and do create a query, and while you're in Surfer, actually, this is the main page that you'll land on when you log in. And I'll have a link below this video where you can sign up. But go ahead and hit create a query. Okay, so now that the analysis is done for Dallas Personal Trainer, we actually want to put the client's URL in here, and then we'll click compare. Now, Surfer has so many capabilities, but just for this demonstration, I'm just going to show you one of my favorite components, which is the audit portion. So go ahead and click audit. And then what Surfer is going to do is it's going to show you all of the issues that this particular page has relative to the competitors. So it's going to obviously show you common missing backlinks. Now, this is a really important section because you should try to get backlinks from many of the websites that your competitors have gotten backlinks from. That's kind of the base level work that you need to be doing. So of course you can do show missing backlinks, and then we can go ahead and actually export this, and then we'll put that in the folder when we deliver the report to the client. So that's the first thing we want to do. And actually it's really important because, and this is actually really important because we can actually show the client the domains that their competitors have links from, and then we can show them how much it actually costs to get that type of link. So for example, getting a link on New York Times, we're talking probably $3,000 to $5,000 to get that link. And that's because it's a very difficult link to get, therefore it's more expensive. So, when you're thinking about how to budget and how to make a dent in a particular industry, you also have to consider the price you're going to have to invest to get some of these links. And when I'm saying price, of course that means actually buying them from a vendor, but it could also mean the price as far as the time that goes into actually having to build a relationship with someone or actually become the author on one of these websites. So regardless of how you go about acquiring the link, there's still going to be a cost, whether that's time or money. So you need to calculate those costs in your proposal if you're going to submit a proposal to the client after the audit. Now, if this is just a one-time audit, of course, you can still show those comparisons and show them what they're going to need. But this is extremely valuable, just this alone. And you can actually do the same thing with ahrefs. You can do link intersect, but it's just nice that it's right here in front of you with Surfer. So now let's go down and take a look at some of these other things. So then Surfer is basically just going to show you how you should optimize your page and basically how many times you should mention the particular keyword that you're going after. So in this case, it looks like the client really needs to add a few primary keywords to their content. And so knowing that this is the most important keyword for them, we're going to want to add that naturally in the content. And the thing with this tool is you got to really use it the right way. So remember in the beginning, I could have put personal trainer Dallas. And so then it would have showed me how many times that's mentioned across the other competitors. And then it would have given me a recommendation on how to actually optimize that specific phrase. And of course, we want to optimize it in a natural way. So that's why it's important to make sure that you modify the primary phrase so that it's natural language, so that then we actually go through and optimize that page. It's nice and natural. And Google, honestly, at this point is so advanced that it knows that Dallas personal trainer and personal trainer Dallas are almost the same exact keyword phrases. So it's very rare where Google can't tell the difference. So then what I do, and if we were actually optimizing this particular page, I would actually just export this and I would send it to a team member, and then I would have them go through these recommendations and optimize it. But in this case, we're just giving recommendations to the client. So I'm just going to export. And then one thing that's really important is, once you make those changes, you can actually go back into Surfer and click refresh, and then it'll actually recalculate these percentages, and then you can see where you land once you've put in all that work. So really, really cool feature. So now let's go to the second section here. And then when you scroll down, you actually see this word section. This is also a really great section because it's basically going to tell you what the ideal word count is for this particular keyword phrase. So in this case, it actually tells us that we should remove content from the primary page. And believe it or not, I've done this many, many times. I've followed this exact recommendation from Surfer, and it always produces better results. It's pretty crazy because it's an indication that Google believes that when your content is substantially longer than what is necessary, that it's probably filled with a lot of fluff. And typically what will happen is if it's really long too, it could end up actually getting over optimized as well. So we want to fulfill the intent of the keyword with as little words as possible, and we also want the page to blend in with the competitors. We don't want it to seem substantially different either on one extreme or the other. So we don't want it to be substantially longer than everything else, and we don't want it to be substantially shorter. So that's the real value of Surfer in this section, is that it's actually just going to tell you a range that you should go for based on the averages. So in this case, it's telling us we should try to aim to get between 1,000 and 1,900 words. So we would need to remove a substantial amount of words from this page, and so that would be a part of the initiative that we'd want to go for. And then once again, it starts to talk about some HTML stuff that we can go and fix. I recommend doing everything that Surfer suggests, and then once you've done everything, then you can adjust, and if you're not seeing improvements. But in most cases, if you make all of these changes that they recommend, it is a very, very high success rate. Now, of course, you need to go through and you need to actually start acquiring links too. There are a lot of other factors involved, but from just a pure on-page SEO perspective, and if you have all of your other ducks in a row, you've done all the other forms of optimization that are necessary, and you've acquired links, optimizing your page based on Surfer's recommendations is almost a guarantee to improve your performance. like I said, as long as you've done everything else well. So I just can't recommend it enough. And so then just keep going down, and there's some other things we're going to look at. Obviously, all of this stuff very similar as far as keyword placement. We need to make sure that we have a keyword in the H1, like I mentioned earlier. We already saw that based on the Screaming Frog export that he didn't have any keywords in the H1. And then, of course, having the primary keyword in the title, super, super important. So the section I actually like to look at is down here at the bottom, which is the load time. And if you click Show Details, you can actually see the comparison from your client site or your target site versus the websites that are performing really well. And more often than not, you'll often see that websites that are not doing well typically load a lot slower. So one of the easiest ways to improve your SEO performance is just to improve your website loading speed. And it's crazy because this point has been hammered by pretty much everyone, and it's been getting hammered for a really long time. Even Google hammers it and says how important it is, but for some reason, we don't prioritize it in our efforts, and it needs to be prioritized right at the onset. We want to try to make our website as fast as possible. In fact, we want our website probably to be the fastest in our particular market if possible. But we certainly do not want to be the slowest. And we don't even want to be like, we want to be in at least the top 5 or even top 3 as far as speed. So in this case, a lot of room to improve right away. So definitely something we're going to want to do. Okay, so now that we've already run Personal Trainer Dallas through Surfer, we can just go ahead and mark that as green. And then we actually want to look for keywords with different types of intent. So, best gyms in Dallas, probably not something that the client actually wants to go for, but it seems like they just kind of ended up ranking for it. Now, of course, we can verify, but we know for sure that they want to rank for Nutritionist Dallas. So we will go ahead and mark this one as yellow. And we're going to continue to go down here and look for ones that have different intent. So that one has a little bit different intent. We'll continue to go down. DEXA Dallas, definitely slightly different. Strength and conditioning is slightly different. We have in-home Personal Trainer Dallas. Now, we don't know if he actually offers that, so we probably will just leave that for now. We do have Dallas Weight Loss Program, which is certainly something that has different intent. Dietitian, which could be different than nutritionist, although they are kind of similar, but we'll go ahead and mark that too. And then, this is what you need to do. You just need to keep going through here and looking at all these different keywords and looking for opportunities to target keywords that just have different types of intent. And the reason for that is because we're going to want to actually create different pages for these keyword phrases or optimize existing pages. So just continue to go down and look for different keywords with different intent. So here's another good one, female personal trainer Dallas. So we could actually optimize a page specifically for this variation as opposed to just personal trainer Dallas. Female personal trainer Dallas is different. So we could actually optimize one of those previous pages that we found here. It looks like Sarah, this page with the trainer by the name of Sarah, we could probably optimize that for female. So that's one option, but definitely want to go ahead and keep looking for these different opportunities. And then you're just going to take these keywords and run them through Surfer so that we can once again get even more recommendations. All right, guys, so I decided to end this local SEO audit tutorial here because I have several videos about link building on my channel already, and I'll have links in the description below. And I just want to say that if you watched this far, thank you so much, because that was a big commitment, and it shows that you're someone who's serious about learning local SEO. So please like this video and subscribe to my channel because I publish new videos every week. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.